I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please poll council members?
Councilmember Peggy Sepnick. Councilmember Wilhelmina Scott.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Billy Brown. Councilmember Sandra Fleming Crosby.
Present.
Councilmember Nicole Singletary.
Present.
Councilmember Richard Cook. Mayor Anderson, I find there to be a quorum present.
Okay. We need a motion to adopt the agenda with the following corrections. And under resolutions, item B, number 2, resolution 2019.345 should read as follows. A resolution approving the appointment of Judge Jillian Friesen as part-time municipal judge for a 2-year term beginning June 1, 2019 and expiring May 31st, 2021. And the second correction is under item 6, City Administrative Report, and that's item number E, should be deleted. Need a motion to approve the agenda as just read.
So moved. Second.
Properly moved in second. We're ready for any questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item is approval of minutes and summaries from Tuesday, April 30th budget workshop session, and Tuesday, April 9th, 2019 special call meeting, and April 9, 2019 regular city council meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item is our public comment period. Notes on comment period. Comments are limited to 2 minutes per person. No personal or verbal attacks will be entertained. The council is interested in hearing your concerns, but speakers should not expect council action or deliberation on subject matter brought up during the public comment period. Topics requiring further investigation will be referred to the city administration and may be scheduled for a future agenda. Please state your name and address for the record. Floor is now open.
Good afternoon. Good evening, rather.
Good evening.
My name is Jerome Ballard. I live at 211 Florida Avenue, Lake City, South Carolina. My concern are the water. Ever since we had this new system in, if it's not at the Elks on 473 South Church, it is moved to my house. Whenever I go and complain about it, the past water period, I had a water bill for $56. This last water bill was $165. And when I come down and ask to inquire about it, is that you got a leak. I think there needs to be a better explanation than a leak. I'll look all over the house, I'll look for everywhere, and get a plumber. We'll work with you. You have to pay a plumber. And every time these things happen, nobody's home, and whenever the plumber's around, he can't find no leak. But we still have to pay it. And then the water bill was $40, but the sewage was $100. And you don't know whether the water's going in the sewage or not out there on the ground. There needs to be some kind of better explanation for this. Yeah, now, it happened over a year at the Elks. Well, I've spoken to everybody I could talk to, and they've been real nice. Most of them been real nice. And I don't want to say compassion because I still have the same problem. But it is moved from the Elks to my house, $165, and I don't use that much water. Matter of fact, that month my wife was out with her sick mother, so with no washing going on, so I can't understand. And when you break it down here as a complaint, you got a leak. Got to be another explanation other than that. And when there's no leaks, my bathrooms got pretty new commodes, so it's not leaking there. I don't know where it could be leaking at. But then there has to be a better suggestion. I think you need to look into that. That's, I don't know how many people y'all can have complaining about that, but that's a major issue with that water bill.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next,
My name is Carlton L. Brown. I'm the owner of Brown's Lock and Key Service. We've been in this town for 70-some years. Never caused no trouble,
Physical.
never had no trouble.
what's that? Which
It's
address?
physical address.
Physical address.
117 South Ackline.
Thank you.
My concern was, I wanted to know, and I've asked several people on the council and all in City Hall, who owns the road? Nobody gave me an answer. Nobody. But when I put a reserve sign out there, the city came to me and told me I couldn't do that because it was in the ordinance. So I went to Miss Teresa and got a set of ordinance. It's not in the ordinance. It's right. There's nothing on there. Nothing in it. So I did an investigation. Hired people to go do it. They went to Florence, Charleston, and Columbia, and King Street, and all. And the road is owned by CSX. You don't have no right to tell me I can't put a sign there. CSX can tell me. And I would appreciate, I didn't want any trouble with the city whatsoever. I hadn't had any trouble. I wanted to get along with the city. But it seemed like to me the city is fighting me on another problem too. They have taught their law officers to unlock cars. That's my livelihood, and that's how your tax the license that I pay is based on. How many they do? So I've taken things of people around town to get the license number of the ones they unlocked and who unlocked it. And that's what I'll base my license on this coming year if I'm him. But I would appreciate, and I'd love to work with you. But I can't take that. I'm 80 years old, and I can't take all this fighting. I'm not going to take it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next,
Most of you know me. My name is Craig Hurst. I live at 314 Lawrence Street here in Lake City. I'm related to Mr. Carlton Brown and appear today as a friend of the council. What Mr. Brown is referring to is the parking spots that are in front of the businesses there. It was originally parking behind his building where he could park for the maintenance that he brought in work for his truck. That has been redone and reallocated. He now does not have a designated place to have to load and unload equipment out of that van and out of the trucks that he uses, and there's no way to bring a safe or anything like that. Materials, autos that have to be worked on and maintenance, there's no place to park them as designated. So he needs a place that's designated for them because parking is limited, as council wells know, in the city, and that Ackline Street stays full all the time. The research we have done, like Mr. Brown said, shows that that is privately owned street. It does not belong to the city, does not belong to the state. It's private property. We've been to GIS in Florence, we've been to Charleston, we've been to CSX, who says that they own the property. His plat shows that he owns the property up to the line at CSX, so that section of Ackline is privately owned. It is not a city street, it's not a state designated street. That's the information that we get. All he's asking for is a designated parking area so that he can use to park that van and his truck in front of it so he can do business out of it. He has expressed to me a willingness that if he cannot do it and he cannot do the business well, so he will relocate his business. I don't think the city would like to see that. Anyway, appreciate your time. Thank you.
thank you. Next. All right, no other comments? Okay, at this time, we're at our presentations.
Chief Coker. Peace officers.
Yeah. Hey, Chief.
Right.
At this time, I'd like to read this proclamation that's on Peace Officers Memorial Day, and it reads as follows. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States of America have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, the calendar week of each year during which such May 15th occurs as Police Week. And whereas the police officers of America have worked devotedly and selflessly on behalf of this nation, regardless of the peril or hazard to themselves, the members of the City of Lake City Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of our community. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement officers, and that the law enforcement officers recognize their duty to serve the people of this community by protecting them against violence and disorder. And whereas the law enforcement officers of the City of Lake City, South Carolina Police Department unceasingly provide a vital public service. Now therefore, I, Lovett Anderson Jr., Mayor of the City of Lake City, South Carolina, do hereby direct that all flags on city buildings be flown at half-mast on May 15, 2019 in recognition of Peace Officers Memorial Day and in memory of those law enforcement officers who through their courageous deeds have made the ultimate sacrifice in their service to our community or have become disabled in the performance of duty, and to honor those law enforcement officers presently serving the community. Peace Officers Memorial Day. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Lake City to be affixed this 14th day of May 2019. Yours truly. Thank you all and all the officers that are here and those that are on duty for what you all do.
Thank you, man.
All right. And so now, for this month, during our recognition of the employees, we have a couple of retirees that people that are going to be leaving us, and we hope that they have a wonderful retirement. And this next gentleman, I want the chief to kind of speak about him because he's worked with him on a day-to-day basis. But if Lieutenant Gainey can come up, please. City of Lake City, I know I haven't had an opportunity to work with you long, but I've heard really great things about you and have watched the way you conduct yourself, and we're really going to miss you, and we appreciate your service. We really, really do.
Appreciate it.
He started in 2005, so I don't know. I think the mayor had an afro then. So, but he started in 2005 and retires in June of 2019. So we certainly appreciate you, all that you've done, and working up to the ranks of lieutenant and being a good example for the children. I know that children love you, so I don't know if what the chief wants to add.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as y'all know, Lieutenant Gainey, I've been here a little over 2 years now, and just a little bit of time I have known him. He has been a great asset to this city. He is very respected in the community. From blacks, whites, Hispanics, everybody. He's just a big old teddy bear, so to speak. But he has been an absolute godsend to me when I come here. He stepped in and helped me with the guys that I didn't know and with victims and anybody. So he's a jack of all trades, and I sure miss him when he's gone. So he's been good to me, and he's been good to the people of Lake City and Williamsburg County also. Okay. But in recognition, the city should present it to Lieutenant Jerry Gainey in appreciation for your service to the citizens of Lake City, South Carolina, October 2005 to June 2019. I wish you well. Smile.
You want to say anything?
Well, I appreciate it that God gave me the chance that I want to come down here and
give my service to the city of Lake City, and I appreciate y'all for giving me that time. When I first came here, Billy Brown, chief then, I talked to him, and I told him that I'm going to stay here and I'm going to retire here. And I'm glad I was able to do it, and I enjoy y'all for letting me do it.
And at this time, I'm going to ask our Public Works Director, Mr. Ricky Sims, to come up. This next gentleman, he was a little bit under the weather today, but you can see his photo. This is Mr. Joseph Juskis. He's been with us for approximately 6 years, and he's been working out at the wastewater treatment plant, and maybe we will be able to have him come back, but I think May 31st is his last day. But if you'd like to speak about him, and then I'd like to actually present this as well.
Yeah, he will be. It's actually 24th.
Okay.
Probably 2 weeks from now. Will be retiring. He's going to be, from what he's telling us, moving to North Carolina to be with his mother. And we were missing at the treatment plant, and I'll be sure he gets this tomorrow and returns to work. But he was out today sick, and we'll be sure to get it good.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And that's going to do it.
Okay, thank you. Now this time we're at our legislative portion, item number 5, and we'll start with the ordinances.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ordinance 2019.501, second and final reading. This is an ordinance of the City of Lake City, South Carolina, authorizing the City of Lake City to enter into a law enforcement assistance and support agreement with the Marion County Sheriff's Department.
We need a motion to approve ordinance 2019.501 for second and final reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.50, second and final reading.
All right. Thank you. Mayor and Council.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Who gave you a second?
Second.
Okay. Moved and properly second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by ayes or hands? Okay. Now we're ready.
Okay. Mayor and Council, ordinance 2019.502 is first reading, an ordinance of the City of Lake City, South Carolina to levy taxes and establish a municipal budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2019 and ending June 30th, 2020, and other matters related thereto. This is by title only.
Need a motion to approve ordinance 2019.502 for first reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.502, first reading.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Resolution.
Okay. Mayor and Council, Resolution 2019.344. This is a resolution establishing a service weapon be given to Lieutenant Jerry Gainey. He is retiring on June the 1st, and you all have heard that, and there is precedent as well as a state statute that does allow us to do this, which basically says that upon retirement, state law enforcement officers may retain their commission and retired status with all rights and privileges, including the right to retain their service weapon issued while on active duty status. This is code 23-1225.
Thank you. The floor is now open for a motion to approve resolution 2019.344 for approval.
Move to approve resolution 2019.344 for approval.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item.
Okay. Mayor and Council, ordinance 2019.345 for approval. This ordinance was revised, approving the appointment of Judge Gillian Frierson to a term beginning July, a 2-year term beginning June 1st, 2019 and expiring May 31st, 2021. The reason why this was revised is that Judge Thompson is going into the ministry full-time, and I will be bringing back next month a proposal as to how we actually fill that next, that vacant position.
Thank you. The floor is now open for a motion to approve Resolution 2019.345.
Move to approve. Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item.
Okay. This next resolution is 2019.346. This is an emergency resolution authorizing a city administrator to procure services and materials in an amount not to exceed $350,000 for the emergency repair of the wastewater influent pump system, with the understanding that prior to any expenditure, the city administrator will report back with an engineering and construction plan associated with the cost. The background, council, is that during December of 2018, the remaining working screw pump at the wastewater treatment plant stopped working, leaving the system with 2 disabled pumps. At that time, Public Works and wastewater staff believed that it would take about 3 to 4 months to repair the new pump, with parts having to be manufactured in Switzerland and later installed by a contractor. Very expensive, very complex. So I am working with Mr. Sims, who may want to come up and join me and add, but we're working with city engineer and contractors to determine the best course of action. The screw pumps have been out there since about 1981, not the same exact ones. They've been rebuilt probably about 12, 13 years ago, but it is probably the oldest screw pump known to man, the technology, and so Mr. Sims is suggesting that we possibly just go to actually a pump system that does not require the screw pump system, because anytime these pumps go out, you're at least going to spend $300,000, and you're going to have to wait 15, 16 weeks, even several months to even get the part in. And so, so we need to actually do something. And I am not Ricky Sims Jr., but if in your packets you can see, I just wanted you to see kind of how a wastewater treatment plant works. And if you'll notice, the regardless of the type of pump that's used, you know, basically you have your system that's carrying wastewater from homes and businesses to the plant, and then you have the pump that's actually pumping up, and screening out the solids. And so you see the whole cycle. But where we are actually having our problems, most of the problems, is where our influent pump system. Ricky, did I get that right? Did you train me correctly?
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Okay. So if you could hit the next one, because I'd like for you all to see it. So this is essentially kind of a diagram of the screw pumps, as you can see it there, and if you could hit the next one. And ours are not as shiny and pretty as that one, but this is essentially, if you could go back, that's essentially what the screw pumps look like. So my hat's off to Mr. Sims and the staff, because there are lots of components that come with actually running a wastewater treatment system. So that's essentially the background.
Thank you. The floor is now open for a motion for approval regarding Resolution 2019.346.
Move to approve Resolution 2019.346.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item.
Okay. Mayor and Council, this is just essentially under my report and no action required, but I just wanted to actually bring this to the attention of the council as well as the public. This has been the budget calendar, and I'm just going to go through it really quickly. So January 22nd, we began putting out budget instructions to the directors. Between February 11th and February 13th, we held individual meetings with department heads. February 18th, we started entering in the budget figures. February the 26th, you all had your strategic goal setting session. February 25th through the 27th, we had a second round of a collective meeting with the directors to kind of explain to them, where the city is. from a financial standpoint. March 13th, proposed budget overview and spreadsheet. April 12th, we had to post notice of a public hearing in the newspaper. We've held 2 official council work sessions, April 30th, 4 to 7 p.m., and on May the 7th, from 6, I think, to 7 p.m. May 14th, we've had our public hearing, and this agenda has been published. And on May 21st, we will have our final council work session from 6 to 8 p.m. Here at this facility. And June 11th, we will have final reading of the FY20 budget, and July 1st will be the start of our fiscal year. And I just think it's important for you all to kind of know that we've followed true to the calendar. This has been published, and just knowing that our final budget work session will be on May the 21st.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Pretty much on schedule.
Now, the second item under my report, we held a traffic workshop a couple of months ago, and I just thought it was very important. I have gotten the SCD Secretary Hall. I sent a letter back in late March requesting that they do a traffic count at some of our intersections with railroad crossings. And I did receive the traffic count information. This is through the week of April the 2nd. And so these are your average daily traffic counts. Loop Road, 4,933 cars. Charles Street, 2,887. Dancing, 1,005. East Main Street, 7,531. East Thomas Street, 2,835. Fairview, 2,820. And Graham Street, 1,656. And so this was well in advance of art fields, and so this is essentially what a true count is of our traffic. So the next step that I'm going to be recommending to council when I bring anything back is for the city to look at having a true transportation flow study and actually recommendations that we can actually follow on how to actually make things better for everybody and safer for everybody. But I wanted you to have the traffic counts. Are there any questions? And this was done free by the DOT. The city didn't have to pay anything. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item under my report is that approximately a month ago, the city was notified via letter that that we needed to start putting together a list of capital penny projects. So I'm just going to briefly kind of go through this, but we worked with engineers, grant managers. Last time the penny was implemented and voted on, the city received approximately $5 million. And when we either have a work session or I bring this formally before council, we will show you the projects that we were able to complete. But I wanted to also just run a list of what we have had approximately a month to actually put together projects. So number one, the highest priority was the wastewater treatment plant phase 2. There's approximately, I think, $14 million that needs to happen as far as upgrades to our plant. And so we're requesting about $2.9 million, almost $3 million. Martha Loft sewer line replacement. This is going to be approximately $2.5 million. They are some of the oldest that we have, and it's very expensive when we have sewer cave-ins. We could spend upwards of close to $100,000 on a cave-in. Infrastructure is very, very expensive. So that was number 2. Number 3, a community resource center, a recreation facility. The city does not currently have its own facility where we can have basketball and summer school, summer programming for youth and meeting rooms, and so we're looking at that. and we're requesting approximately $3.5 million for that, and hoping that that will actually be named for a very special individual from the city.